What's going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen, and this quick video is going to be about fishing docks during pre-spawn. Probably one of my favorite places or things to concentrate and focus on when the bass are moving back to spawn, and it's just phenomenally fun fishing. So stay tuned and we'll jump on it. All right, so this dock right here is actually perfect to demonstrate this. We are halfway back in a small little creek arm. If you look right here, you got Main Lake right out here with a river going by. You got a couple of creek bends, and then you get the creek that swings right past here and right past the front of this dock. And so the bass are gonna use that creek to move back towards the spawning flats. And the spawning flats in this pocket are kind of off to the side of the creek anyway. Okay, and you see we got a few docks. Well, a dock is typically just a place they stop and wait until the weather gets right to be able to move up to spawn. And so they're going to work their way back the creek channel. They're going to stop and pause and eat on their way back, and they're going to stop on these boat docks. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the key spots on this dock right here that you need to be looking for every single time you fish a boat dock. Whether it be sunny, we're going to talk about that, and when it's cloudy or cloudy or low light conditions, we'll talk about that. But let's hit this dock, and I'm going to show you the key places you need to be fishing. All right, so as I pull up to this dock, typically I'm pulling up from the side because I'm usually coming from one dock to the next And the first place that I'm going to make a cast is going to be the outside corner. Okay, so the outside corner of that boat dock is where the most active fish are going to be that are feeding. They're going to pull out to that corner because that's where the bait fish are going to be forced to go around, and it's an ambush spot is what it is. So I'm going to make a cast there, trying not to tag the boat dock. That's the key. And I'm not trying to skip underneath the boat dock. I'm just trying to get to that post. And I'm going to make a couple of casts right there. This is when practicing in your backyard comes in handy. Let it sink all the way down to the bottom. And I'm not going to, it's a jig, and I'll do the same thing with the Texas rig or the shaky head. I'm going to let it sit on the bottom for a second, and then I'm just going to shake it. And just going to shake it. Now the bass are going to be holding on that post, so there's really no reason, unless you have a cold front move through, there's no reason to work it out away from that boat dock. Okay, but if a cold front moves through, a lot of times they'll pull out away from the boat dock, and you'll catch them halfway between the boat dock and your boat. All right, so the next one is, of course, the next ambush point, which is going to be the back corner. On this one, it can be either the back wooden corner or the corner of that boat lift right there, or that jet ski lift. So I'm going to flip right up next to that post, let it sink on a slack line, watching my line, let it sink all the way down to the bottom. I usually count 2 or 3 seconds, and then I just shake it and try to keep the bait still, but I'm trying to make it move just a little bit, and just shake it. Make a couple of casts there. Got the other corner. Same thing, I'm just going to shake it. Okay, now the gangway or the walkway between the seawall and the dock, that is probably your key spot on the whole entire dock when you're going into pre-spawn, or when they've been in pre-spawn. Water temperatures in the 50s going up into the 60s. This is where the bass are going to hang out, because they want to be shallow, but they still want to be protected. And so I'm going to skip a jig or Texas rig right up underneath that gangway, right up against the seawall. Okay, couple of hops, drag it out, and then I'm going to work my way down that gangway, hitting each of the posts. And then a key spot is where the gangway, especially in shallow docks, is where the gangway meets the main part of the dock, because that gives you the most shade when it's a sunny day. That's typically where the big females are hanging out, and the males you'll catch further up the gangway. Whether it be a really long one or a really short one, I'm going to hit every post all the way out. All right, so one of the things to remember is that the sunnier the day, the tighter the fish are going to be up in the shade. And so I love to fish midday when it's really, really sunny. I love to get myself as far up underneath those docks as I possibly can, and that's where something that you can skip really comes in handy. That's why I talk about the 5 baits when pre-fishing on docks are being the ones you can skip up underneath docks, because it is super, super key. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of work my way around the dock. I've hit that outside post, inside post, and the gangway. Now, as I'm working docks, if I find myself catching 2 fish underneath the gangway, or 3 fish, or all my fish underneath the gangway or out on the outside corner and stuff like that, and not any of the other places, I can pretty much count everything else out and just go dock to dock fishing those spots, because that's where the majority of the bass can be. I like to keep myself honest and every few docks go and fish the whole thing, but a lot of times the fish will all be in the same spot, and they'll all be, or in the same type of spot on each boat dock all the way back. Now also pay attention to your depth. You know, if you're sitting right next to the river channel and you're not catching fish, there's a pretty good chance that there's not going to be any fish anywhere in that, you know, any of those other docks that are along the river channel and so on. So one of the things that happens a lot when you're skipping docks is you tend to get snagged and hung up a lot. And really, if you watch me a lot of times when I'm fishing docks, I get down on my hands and knees a lot and look underneath the dock and make sure that there's nothing that I'm going to get hung up on, or I make sure where, you know, that I know where the wood is that's crossing underneath the dock, so I know when I'm bringing it up to it, I can just pop it over real quick and not get hung up and just keep fishing it. You really got to pay attention. A lot of times there's PVC pipes and wires and all kinds of stuff that you can get hung up on, and sometimes you just have to leave the dock and not fish it. So I love fishing docks. I love the fish you catch out from underneath docks, because a lot of times they're big, and it's just it's a full combat fishing once they bite. If you're fishing like the metal docks, like you see up north and stuff like that, a lot of times I'll fish those with braid with a short fluorocarbon leader. The braid can be wrapped around the wooden or the metal docks and take a lot of abrasion, and then you just let that fish fight itself out, and you can reel it back around the post in the dock, and you won't lose nearly as many fish. But docks are where it is, man, in the spring. They love to stop and hang out here, and I love to fish for them. But like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water, go out and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.